Hi everyone, welcome to Everyday, your daily stop for virtual reality content. My name is Dee, and today is a special episode. I'm going to go hands-on with Claire. Claire is a head-mounted display designed for industrial/commercial applications, and it's produced by VR Union, which is a small company out of the Czech Republic with just 6 people. And they're the same people who created RiftUP, which was a successful Indiegogo campaign to create a screen upgrade kit for the Oculus Rift DK1 from 1280-800 to 1920-1080 RGB stripe. And that was a very successful project, and a lot of people enjoyed using that. And Claire is still very, very preliminary. They're still working on it. This is the first generation version that I'm going to be trying out. It has dual 1920-1080 displays laid out horizontally. This results in a very, very wide horizontal field of view, as well as having a considerably higher pixel density than the Oculus Rift. So I'm going to go ahead and jump to the demo.
What I was thinking though is instead of carrying a TV or...
Okay, so that's showing the sensor, showing the orientation, and that's rotational only, right? Yeah. Is there any positional right now? No, no positional, okay. So the specs again, you said this has dual 1920-1080. Is it 1080? Which way are they rotated? Is it 1920-1080? Okay, so it's 1920-1080, 1920 for both eyes. So I just had a question. Do you know what the vertical field of view is?
It's 170 per eye.
No, that's horizontal.
That's diagonal.
Oh, that's diagonal is 170. Okay, so what is the horizontal and vertical?
I think
so
it's like 70 vertical and like 155 like.
Okay, so like 155 horizontal per eye and like 70 vertical.
Yeah, and the overlap is right now not enough.
So what is the overlap? 50. Okay.
That's really not there.
Right, you really want like 90.
Yes.
Yeah. Are we good? Are we good? Now we're good? Okay. All right, here we go. So yeah, there is some chromatic aberration, as you said there would be, and there's quite a bit of latency at this point, which you also said there would be, and you're still working on that. And yeah, the vertical field of view is of course less than I'm used to having in the Rift, but yeah, that horizontal is definitely pretty nice. I feel like the usual like goggles would be like here, and this is just like it's ripping off the sides of the Rift and like letting me see out the sides.
I can actually start the demo.
Okay.
So we can try. The leap motion is not connected, so I'm going to.
And I see what you mean also about the overlap not being quite high enough. Because there's, a relatively small stereo region.
Yeah. You can try use your hands to interact with this demo.
Is it working? Come on, leap. If I get my hands close enough to the leap, it kind of works.
I can move it closer to the skeleton.
Okay.
With the new custom lenses, it should be even more enjoyable, and the overlap should be massive.
So the new lenses are coming soon.
Yes.
And where did these lenses come from?
These are from Japan, and these are actually the same manufacturer as is not right now doing the custom lenses.
I see.
There's good history with them, and but just the forms to make it, they are really expensive for Fresnel lens. You need to have like very heavy machine doing the pressing.
I see.
But I think that they can make it. They're great. And I mean, Japan is the land. Optics and electronics and displays.
I'll also say that the pixel density is very good. I don't really see any screen door effect, and I can't see any subpixels. So that's pretty much gone on here.
It's a lot of because this is full RGB display. It's not tile.
So this is RGB.
So the full HD per eye is in all colors, not only in green. So there's lots of pixels.
Yeah, like even if I look as hard as I can, I cannot make out any subpixels here. And like the colors, like I can't see subpixels, I can't see space, I can't see any of that. It just looks like I'm looking at a monitor, except in stereoscopy. So that's definitely an improvement over something like the, oh, hi heart. That's definitely an improvement. Okay.
Try using your hand with fingers extended, all of them, but use the index finger to touch, because the leap motion doesn't track very well.
Get out of the way, lungs. Don't need you. There we go.
Just double tap on it quickly.
Yay, I'm in the bloodstream. Oh, it's loading. I like the blurry loading thing. Wow. The bloodstream is actually a really good demo of this because you can really feel things moving through your periphery, like you're standing on a street and cars are going by. It really takes advantage of that extra horizontal field of view. Yeah, I'm your friend. I hope the white blood cells don't find me. I'll be in trouble. It is really cool just to, like, in this lab right now, I feel like I can see the card off to the right and the card off to the left at the same time in my peripheral vision. I have quite a lot of peripheral vision. I feel like it goes up to about, if I stretch out my hands, about here. So it's pretty, yeah, 170 seems about right. 170 seems about right for the horizontal field of view.
There's also a bit of problem that the leap motion, it actually doesn't track the hands that far.
I mean, compared to the Rift with the narrower overlap, I feel it's a little harder to converge on things. I'm not sure exactly why that is.
That's probably because of the camera projection.
Oh, right, the camera projection, because they're slanted, and that's not perfectly aligned yet.
What you should do, but
right.
It achieves some stereo conversions, some level of stereo conversions without having to.
Right. So when you have the correct skewed projection for the views, I should be able to converge more naturally.
Yeah. On the shelf there.
Oh, there's a shelf.
Yeah.
So you turned it into a game.
Yeah. That's the GDC demo.
Honestly, though, I'm more looking forward to someone to develop a glove that works well, so that I won't have to worry about develop a glove. Yeah, so I won't have to worry about occlusion and all these problems. Like the Control VR, but probably more something that's like got a lighthouse tracker on your forearm and like some kind of IMU glove. So the Leap's not cooperating, but I managed to shove them around a little bit. The diamonds look great. It's very nice to have the proper resolution when viewing light fields, because otherwise you can't really see the diamonds clearly. Yeah, like I said, I can definitely see a lot more detail on the light field, even though this is a low-resolution light field. These are small objects, and I can see the details of their color and their shining a lot more clearly. Is there 3D painting in World of Comenius?
It's actually quite confusing whenever I reset it, because the cameras are tilted. It doesn't look like it's actually tilted, but in the headset it should look okay. Also, this is only one of the eyes.
Right.
Because I don't have the both of them. I'm just using the monitor capture for this.
Yeah, it's interesting. So it's actually reset, but it looks like it's off to one side. Because the screen is tilted and you're rotating. And I hold spacebar to paint, right? Oh, it's working. Actually, it's kind of nice and clear because I'm drawing this very thin line, and I can clearly see like how thick the line is, and it's the right color and everything. Can you change the color?
No, it doesn't work in this time.
Oh, okay. It's very cool to just be drawing these lines in 3D. Like I've never done any kind of 3D painting before, and it's very cool just to. I haven't. I mean, I tried that demo. I didn't try this feature.
You should definitely try it.
I will definitely try it.
This is really weird without the positional tracking.
Right. Like I know for 3D painting, you ideally want to be able to look around it using positional tracking. Although even with this, I have some neck model, so I get some parallax as I turn my head. It definitely helps to have more of the horizontal field of view. It definitely helps to have a much higher resolution, or pixel density rather. But I definitely feel like the vertical field of view is very prohibitive, and the limited stereo overlap, and obviously the projection, which makes convergence a little bit painful. but you're working on all these things, so you are well aware.
Not me specifically,
But they are. And this is and Claire is the people working on Claire are the same people who worked on RiftUP, right?
yes.
Yep. Yeah, I like how on these screens, like there's that little and I'm actually pointing here. In the there's that little cart with the little cage wire, and I can kind of see the grid of the cage wire a lot better in this than. It's kind of hard to tell because the latency is still really bad, like 50 to 100 milliseconds. But I feel like there's some motion blur during head movement, but I'm not. Yeah, there is some, but it's not too bad. There's there is some motion blur during head movement, but it's not quite as bad as I thought it would be. So I think this is by the design of the optics, but I noticed that the image is very sharp near the left side of the right lens and very blurry near the right side of the right lens as it moves toward the periphery, and conversely for the left eye. So is the idea that they're designed to be clear towards the center and more blurry towards the edges? Is that kind of an intentional design of the lens? I see. I see. So, but in the future, you want it to be clear throughout the range of view? I see. So it's just a limitation of the current lenses.
Yes, yes. Actually, the angle is pretty high. The lens is to like bend the light, and we are moving the lenses outwards. So you have more inward image. So if you have a lens and you move it right, the image behind the lens moves left.
Right.
And so we use this principle to move the image in the middle of the headset, so you don't see frame of the screen, but at the same time you get lesser image quality.
Yeah, you need
on
to
the
raise the
outer
glass,
side.
Oh, is it actually less pixels towards the edge?
I think no.
Or is it just the optics?
I think that's just the optics.
Okay. Okay.
We need to make the custom optics for this to correct.
Okay.
But once we get there, I think we can do it.
Okay. That's right. There's no software distortion yet, so that wouldn't make sense. Okay.
The software right now we just did like OSBR stock software with wrong with some wrong devar, which actually helps, but only in some places. The OSBR devar we used is made for aspheric lens, not for our lens. They are asymmetric and the screens are on the angle. There's a lot of stuff that isn't solved, and we actually are not working on it to solve it for this unit because it's an older unit.
Right, you're working on it for the next generation.
We want the next generation to be kick-ass.
So another thing I noticed that so there's the stereo overlap region, and there's kind of these black borders around the stereo overlap region. Like, is the black area not supposed to be there, or is that going away in future versions, or are you just going to have a larger stereo overlap, but there'll still be the black boundaries around it?
Yes. So we want to get rid of the black boundary. Right now it is there. There's like black splitter.
And is that because of the black space between the screens?
Yes. That's the black space you see, and we want to get rid of the splitter, but firstly we need to enlarge the angle.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So once you have a larger convergence area, then you'll be able to and like, are you going to make the screens like physically overlap or come together at a corner or at a seam? Is that how it'll work?
Yes. Actually, the screens right now have a pretty big margin there. So we're gonna install screens that have much smaller margin at the center. So that will help a lot. And the optics will also compensate, and in the middle, they'll be much closer to the eye.
Right. So how far away physically are they from the eye in the center right now?
Yeah, I think like right now it's like 1.5 centimeter, which is pretty a lot because normally the headsets are much closer than that, like the Oculus and other. Right. And in the center, where your nose is, it's actually much more than 1.5. It's like 2 and something.
I see.
So we would the best way, the thing would be to have like curved lens would be amazing, but that's very expensive.
Right, and that also sounds very hard to do software distortion compensation for.
Yeah.
All right, I think I'm all done. Thanks a lot for showing me Claire.
Yeah, thank you for trying.
With the micro duct projection stuff.
All right, so that was the demo, and it's obviously very, very preliminary at this stage. I don't think it's actually ready to use in any realistic application at this point. It's still kind of a proof of concept. The advantages of it were very apparent. There was literally no visible screen door, no visible subpixels, and no visible discoloration of anything since it was using RGB stripes. So it's a lot more like looking at a monitor where you can't really clearly see the pixels, and the colors just look like colors and not like meshes of pixels blended together. So that was definitely an improvement, much better pixel density, and I hope that that's kind of a good signal of what head-mount displays are going to look like in the future after the pixel density gets high enough. There's also the horizontal field of view, which really was incredibly high. I could stand in that room with the anatomical figure, and just I could see to my left and right hand side the little rolling carts by the walls. And it felt a lot more like in real life, being able to see this really wide field. It nearly completely fills your human horizontal field of view, which is very, very wide. So that was impressive, as long as you're looking straight ahead. So it doesn't really fill your field of view when you look off to the side. You can still see the edges. So it's not completely filling your peripheral vision, but it is still very, very impressive compared to something like the Oculus Rift. On the other hand, none of that really makes up for the disadvantages. So first of all, they haven't yet implemented the projection correctly. So when you try to converge on the stereoscopic region in the center, it just it kind of hurts your eyes and doesn't quite feel right, and doesn't quite look right. And that's just because the projection isn't quite right that they're using at this stage. So they know what to do and how to fix that, just isn't yet implemented. The stereo overlap in the middle definitely does not align well with the stereo overlap in humans in reality. I believe our stereo overlap is around 90 degrees, and their stereo overlap was like 50 or 60, and that was very apparent. You felt like there was a kind of a small stereo window in front of your eyes, and then beyond that it was monoscopic, and that's definitely not a natural feeling. Whereas on the Rift, they definitely do a better job of having a stereo overlap that's more natural and more in line with human vision. The stereo region also had these distracting black bars on either side of it, which were just due to the space or the separator between the screens. And I believe they're coming. The design of the Nuclear is going to hopefully help to deal with that. But to some extent, this is one of the challenges of building a two-screen HMD. And now that we know that Crescent Bay is actually built from two screens, it would be interesting to learn more about how they and how HTC Vive dealt with this problem of having of how you design it to not have any black space between the screens where you can perceive that can show up in your vision and appear like a black mark over part of the display. Another problem with it at this stage is the latency. This is probably, honestly, the biggest problem. The latency right now is at least 50 milliseconds, probably over 100. And that's just not usable for virtual reality. It's going to make a lot of people sick. I have high VR resistance to VR sickness, so I'm not going to get sick from that. But a lot of other people would, and they know that it's not an acceptable level, and I think it's mostly a software issue because they have the sensors they need, the high frequency sensors they need to do accurate motion prediction. They know how to implement time warp. And really, all it takes at this stage is for them to go and implement those things to help to start bring that latency down. It might also be a matter of like driver implementation to make sure that they can read out their sensor readings fast enough and kind of cut down the loop time from sensor reading to putting it up on the display. So I have confidence they can bring those down, but right now it's just very preliminary and the latency is way too high for it to be usable. Like if I just kind of slowly nod my head, by the time my head got up, the display would still be at the bottom. And when my head was at the bottom, it would still be at the top. So that gives you an idea of the kind of latency we're talking about here. So my final verdict: the horizontal field of view is amazing. It gives you a sense that things are really moving past you in your peripheral vision that you can't get on the Oculus Rift right now. Kind of like you're standing on a street and cars are rushing past you, that kind of feeling. And the getting rid of the screen door effect is something I've never really seen before. Even on Crescent Bay, you can see a little bit of it, and here there just wasn't any screen door effect that I could see. So that's kind of a great vision of what future HMDs can look like. But there's a lot of work for them still to do to make this into a practical and usable head-mounted display. So I am very optimistic for the Claire 22M. I hope that it will, with its not just with its higher resolution screens, but I'm hope they're going to get all the support they need into OSVR and to their software stack to cut the latency down, that they're going to use the right projections, and that and they're going to fix the stereo overlap and fix the gap between the screens, and it's going to be a much better experience. So I am optimistic for the future of Claire. I hope that this has been helpful. Everybody have a great every day.